Hare Krishna. Let us understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. So let us understand these chapters section by section. Before we begin the discussion, let us offer our prayers to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we will be understanding the first section of chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 18 is entitled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. First section is from Shloka number 1 to Shloka number 28. This section is entitled Renunciation, Factors of Action and Worker. So let us understand this section. In this section, Arjuna asks a question about renunciation and renounced order of life, and Lord Krishna replies. So let us understand this section. Arjuna asks, Arjuna uvacha sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha prithak keshi nishodana. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I want to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. O killer of the Keshi demon, Rishikesha. So Arjuna asked this question of Lord Krishna. He wanted to understand what is renunciation, the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and what is the renounced order of life, the purpose of sannyasa, the renounced order of life. And Lord Krishna replies, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kamyanam Karmanam Nyasam Sannyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarva Karma Phalatyagam Prahustyagam Vichakshana. The Supreme Lord said, to give up the results of all activities is called renunciation, tyaga, by the wise. And that state is called the renounced order of life, sannyasa, by great learned men. So Krishna has given his reply that to give up the results of one's activities is called tyaga, and that state of life is called sannyasa. So as a living being, we cannot sit quietly, we all have to work. Generally, those who are ignorant about life, they work for achieving fruitive results and they want to enjoy the results of their own activities. But Krishna doesn't recommend such type of activity. Krishna wants each of us to offer the results of our work to satisfy Him. That is the perfection of working. So Krishna will be explaining these things in the future. So Krishna further says, Tyajyam doshavadyeke karma prahur manishinaha yajnadana tapah karma natyajyam iti chapare. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up, but there are yet other sages who maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. So there are two opinions about acts of charity, renunciation and sacrifices. Some say that one should give up all fruitive activities, and others say that acts of sacrifice, charity and penances should never be abandoned. So Krishna gives his final opinion about this. So Krishna says, Nishchayam shrunu me tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purusha vyaghra trividha samprakirtitaha. O best of the Bharatas, hear from me now about renunciation. O tiger among men, there are three kinds of renunciation declared in the scriptures. Yajnadana tapah karma natyajyam karyameva tat yajnyodanam tapaschaiva pavanani manishina. Acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity and penance purify even the great souls. So Krishna has given his final opinion that Krishna says that acts of sacrifice, charity and renunciation or penance should never be given up. Acts of sacrifice, charity and penance, because it purifies even the great souls. So Krishna recommends that we always perform these activities. And further Krishna describes Etanyapi tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani ti me partha nishchitam matamuttamam. All these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. Krishna recommends that we perform acts of sacrifice, charity and penances without expectation of any result, and that is Krishna's final opinion about it. Further Krishna says, Niyatasya tu sanyasaha karmano nopapadyate mohatasya parityagas tamasah parikirtitaha. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If by illusion one gives up his prescribed duties, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So while living in this material world, each one of us is influenced by certain modes of material nature, and according to the modes which we are influenced, scriptures recommend to perform certain duties to purify ourselves and get liberated from the conditioning of the modes of material nature. But if one gives up his prescribed duty, then Krishna says that he is acting in the mode of ignorance. Further Krishna says, Dukkham ityeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga phalam labhet. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear is said to be in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. Some people out of fear, they don't want to perform their prescribed duties. So such renunciation of one's own duty doesn't lead one to perfection. So Krishna further says, Karyamityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyaga satviko mataha. But he who performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is of the nature of goodness, O Arjuna. So Krishna says here that if one performs his duty just for the matter of doing it as a matter of duty, so his renunciation is in the mode of goodness. So further Krishna says, Nadveshtya kushalam karma kushalena anushajjate Tyagi sattva samavishto medhavi chinna samshayaha. Those who are situated in the mode of goodness, who neither hate inauspicious work nor are attached to auspicious work, have no doubts about work. So in this material world, work is of two types, auspicious and inauspicious. One who understands the purpose of working, he does his duties just for the sake of pleasing the Supreme Lord. So he is not attached to whether the work is auspicious or inauspicious. He does his duty as a matter of his due to please the Supreme Lord. So further Krishna says, Nahi deha vrita shakyam tyaktum karmanya sheshataha yastu karma phalatyagi satyagitya bhidiyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. Therefore it is said that he who renounces the fruits of action is one who has truly renounced. So for an embodied being, one cannot stop doing any activities at any point of time. So those who are intelligent, they perform the activities according to the scriptural directions and they offer the results to the Supreme Lord. Or so such a person has understood the true purpose of acting. And further Krishna says, Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmanah phalam bhavatyatyyaginam pretya nato sannyasinam kvachit. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. Because a devotee of Lord Krishna, he understands the purpose of action. He acts only for pleasing the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he doesn't fear about the results of his action. Just like Arjuna, he initially didn't want to fight because he was thinking that by fighting and killing elders like Bhishma, Drona, and killing his own relatives and friends, he will have to suffer in the future. But when he understood that it is Krishna who wanted the fight and Arjuna just as a matter of duty, he was supposed to serve the Lord by fighting, then Arjuna fought very vigorously without considering the effects of his action, because by working to please the Supreme Lord, one becomes liberated from this material entanglement and it is all auspicious. So a devotee who is in full knowledge of action, he acts just for the pleasing of the Supreme Lord. Sometimes it may be violence like fighting. For a Kshatriya like Arjuna, he doesn't hesitate to fight when it is required, that too when the Lord himself is ordering. So a devotee of the Lord has no doubts about work. He works only for pleasing the Supreme Lord and therefore he is not entangled by the reactions of such work. So further Krishna says, Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodhame sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam adhishthanam tata karta karanam cha prithak vidham vividhascha prithak cheshta daivam chaivatra panchamam. O mighty armed Arjuna, learn from me of the 5 factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, the senses, the endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. So, to achieve perfection in any activity, there are 5 factors. So, Krishna has described here the 5 factors are the place of action, the performer, the senses, various endeavors, and the super soul. The first four factors can be controlled by us, but the 5th factor, the super soul, he is the final decider of what has to happen about the whole work that was performed. So those who are in ignorance, they think they take the ownership of the actions they perform and they enjoy or suffer the results of such activities, but they don't know that without the sanction of the Supreme Lord, who is situated in the heart of every living being, no actions, no results will be produced of such action, and the Lord can control the results of any action a man performs. So those who are in full knowledge of what are the factors of that govern the results of an action, they perform their activities and leave the results to the Supreme Lord. And whatever results they get by performing their duties, with whatever endeavors they perform using their various senses and by selecting a good place, final result is sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, and they accept it without any grudges, without either being very overly joyful, or without any remorse or lamentation if they don't get the desired result. So Krishna says, Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavaha. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Then Krishna says, Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuyaha pashyatya krita buddhitvan nasa pashyati durmatihi. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Yasya naham krito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa imalokan nahanti na nibadhyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, is not the slayer, nor is he bound by his actions. So, a devotee of the Lord who knows that it is the Lord who sanctions the results of any action, he performs his activities just as a matter of duty to satisfy the Lord, and he doesn't claim the ownership of the results of his action. Further, Krishna says, Jnanam jneyam parijñāta trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividha karma sangraha. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors which motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer comprise the threefold basis of action. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedataha prochyate guna sankhyane yathavat shrunutânyapi. In accordance with the 3 modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performers of action. Listen as I describe them. Sarvabhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajñānam vidhi satvikam. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences, undivided in the divided, is knowledge in the mode of goodness. So there are 3 types of knowledge according to the influence of the modes of nature. Those are influenced by goodness, they see things as they are. In all living beings, even though the species are different, some may be animal species, some are bird species, some are tree species, some are reptiles, some are aquatics. So each and every soul gets different kinds of bodies according to his own desires. So a person in true knowledge, he sees that the soul in every body is of same spiritual nature, but the external body and situation he is in, that may be different according to one's own karma. So such an understanding, such knowledge is in the mode of goodness. Further Krishna says, Prithaktvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan prithak vidhan vetti sarveshu bhuteshu tajnanam vidhi rajasam. That knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is knowledge in the mode of passion. Those who don't have complete understanding of life, they think that each and every body is produced of matter and consciousness in the body is a byproduct of matter, and each and every body, each and every species is different. There is nothing common in different bodies or different species. So this type of understanding, where they don't have any understanding that there is a spirit soul in the body, material body is perishable, soul is eternal, this type of true understanding they don't have. This type of knowledge is called knowledge in the mode of passion. And such people, they consider that once this body gets destroyed, consciousness also gets destroyed. This type of knowledge is imperfect and it is in the mode of passion. Further Krishna says, Yattu kritsnavadekasmin karye saktam ahaitukam atatvarthavadalpam cha tattamasam udahritam. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all without knowledge of the truth and which is very meager is said to be in the mode of darkness. So knowledge which is in which one is attached to only a certain kind of work and without knowledge of the complete truth, that such type of knowledge is in the mode of darkness. Especially the common man in this material world, he lives in the mode of darkness. He is attached to his own works and he just want to earn some money so that he can enjoy the senses as long as he lives, and that is his goal of life. So this type of understanding of life is in the mode of darkness or ignorance. So further Krishna says, Niyatam sangarahitam aragadveshatah kritam aphala prepsuna karma yattat satvikam uchyate. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results is called action in the mode of goodness. So if we perform our actions as a matter of duty and offer the results to the Lord, such an activity is in the mode of goodness. Then yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tadrajasamudahritam. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and which is enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. Generally, people in this material world, in this age, are in the mode of passion or ignorance. They act only for pleasing their own bodily senses, and such actions are in the mode of passion. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattat tamasam uchyate. And that action performed in ignorance and delusion without consideration of future bondage or consequences which inflict injury and is impractical is said to be action in the mode of ignorance. There are many people who act very wildly and they act in such a horrible way that they injure their own bodies and they don't consider the consequences of their actions, and such actions are very dangerous for themselves, and such actions are considered to be in the mode of darkness or ignorance. Further Krishna says, Mukta sango naham vadhi dhriti utsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraha karta satvikam uchyate. The worker who is free from all material attachments and false ego, who is enthusiastic and resolute, and who is indifferent to success or failure, is a worker in the mode of goodness. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho himsatmako shuchihi harsha shokanvitaha karta rajasah parikirtitaha. But that worker who is attached to the fruits of his labor and who passionately wants to enjoy them, who is greedy, envious and impure and moved by happiness and distress, is a worker in the mode of passion. अयुक्तः प्राकृतस्तब्धः शठो नैष्कृतिकोल्लसः विषादी दीर्घसूत्री च कर्ता तामस उच्यते. And that worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating and expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose and procrastinating, is a worker in the mode of ignorance. So Krishna has described three types of workers: worker in the mode of goodness, worker in the mode of passion and worker in the mode of ignorance. One should always work in the mode of goodness under the direction of scriptures and spiritual master, just for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That will give one real happiness while living and liberation after he leaves this body and he returns back to the Supreme Lord and continues serving the Supreme Lord in the eternal kingdom of God. So next what happens we will be understanding in the next section. Hare Krishna.